Hey everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the CouchSide Sports Report. I'm Simon, joined by my co-host Dylan,
Let's go.
always, and we're here to bring you another roundup of the local and world sports.
Yes, sir.
It's been a big week, hasn't it?
It's been quite a big week, especially for Aotearoa local sport. It's been huge.
Last week, I think we had a lot of international sport to talk about, but this week it is the complete opposite. We have had to lump in a whole bunch of different local
Definitely.
sport into one section. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, how's your week been, mate?
Oh, it's been pretty good, mate.
Been pretty good.
I can't complain, especially like you said, with all the local, all the Aotearoa sport.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic to follow our own from here in New Zealand and Aotearoa. So, no, it's been pretty good, man. It's been a pretty
awesome.
good week. How's your week been, mate?
Not too bad, standard stuff. Been a bit busy in
Standard
some
stuff.
areas, but yeah, can't complain. I just want to say thanks to everyone who did watch the last podcast. We saw we
Yeah,
had a
man.
couple of viewers on YouTube and maybe one or two on Spotify. But
We'll take it.
We appreciate all the love on there and also on the socials. We hope to be updating and posting on all of them a little bit more often once
Absolutely.
we get in
We're
the
going
full
to keep
swing.
building.
Exactly.
We're going to keep building.
We'll get in the full swing of things very shortly. But thanks again for the support and thanks for coming back for another week.
Absolutely. And also, don't forget, follow us on Instagram, CouchSide, I can't even say the word, CouchSide.network, as well as CouchSide Network on YouTube, and it'll be the CouchSide Sports Report on Spotify, but you can all find those on the Instagram, CouchSide.network. So, Simon, get us into it, man. What are we talking about first?
Well, I think it's only right to talk about a team which I'm proudly representing right here.
Here we go.
Hey, you're from Auckland too. I know.
No, I'm a fan, but you know what? It's a little bit too much for me. It's a little bit too much.
Well-
With that being said, this game was an absolute domination.
Well, yeah, unless you were living under a rock, you may have heard that Auckland FC took on the Wellington Phoenix in the third ever Kiwi Derby, Kiwi Classico, whatever you want to call it. This was the second one at Mount Smart. 27,009 people showed up, which is
That's
the
tough.
record attendance for a domestic football game
That's
in New
awesome.
Zealand. And Auckland FC truly delivered. 6-1. The final score.
Woo.
The Knicks have been struggling recently, and Auckland have been flying, but I don't think anyone really expected a scoreline
No.
that big.
And even for me, because you're the more hardcore A-League / football fan in general of us, it's not like I expected that to be 6-1.
No.
Like I expected that to be maybe 3-1, maybe even 3-2, maybe a 2-1, but not 6-1.
I mean-
that was... Yeah, the only way I can describe it was a violation.
It was really a violation. Like, I personally was expecting us to do quite well and to maybe dominate a little bit, but not be, completely just utterly insane. I think I jokingly told my mate that we we're going to win 7-0. And chances are, like, the chances of that happening
that joke
were low.
somewhat worked out.
It somewhat worked out. But no, it was just an insane performance. Man of the match, obviously.
Nader Moreno.
Nader Moreno, a hat trick. And I haven't told you this, but I placed a $10 bet before the game on a
No,
player
you didn't.
to score a hat trick. And the player I bet on was a South American forward whose last name started with M. But it wasn't Nader Moreno. It was Guillermo Mai. So I was slightly disappointed at that.
Oh, man.
But I cannot be disappointed. The Phoenix just did not look like they were there to win or to play
Yeah.
even. They were very defensive. They were trying to see out the game. It was very clear to see. They thought they could hold it for an extended period of time. But no, they weren't able to do that. Auckland just had too much attacking talent. Even with Louis Verstrade on the bench, who's so vital in midfield for this team,
Yes.
Auckland were just able to take it to the Knicks constantly. The chances were overflowing. The Knicks are probably a bit happy that we weren't more decisive on some of those attacks because it
Yeah.
could have easily been closer to 10.
Jeez.
But it was a great day. I was right above the Port, who were as loud as usual.
Let's go.
It was a stinking hot day, though.
Yes, it
and
was.
It was a struggle to cheer and stand and clap because the sun, oh God, it was
just sweaty bodies everywhere.
It was
mate.
sweaty bodies everywhere. But no, it was an absolutely sensational win. Credit
Absolutely.
to one Phoenix player in particular, 16-year-old Luke Brooks-Smith, netting his first Phoenix goal, the youngest goal scorer in history. If there's one positive to take away from that, it's that. Unfortunately,
would he be the youngest also New Zealand professional to score a goal as well? Would I be wrong about that?
If you don't count the New Zealand leagues themselves, and it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Only because I heard that somewhere, but I did hear definitely about the youngest scorer for the Phoenix.
It depends what you define like the old New Zealand Premiership, which used to run
we're not going to get into that
We're
because that's going to create a whole thing.
No, we're not going to bore you guys to death. But unfortunately, within 10 minutes, he did was the cause of Auckland's fourth goal when he tried to pass the ball back to the keeper, and it just didn't end up well for the Knicks. So, like we said, Nathan Moreno hat-trick.
Story of the game, to be fair.
Really, Logan Rogerson is really on good form now. An all-white, 2 goals for him. Jesse Randall also got his first goal and an Auckland shirt at the end of the game, so it was nice to see him get some love as well. But yeah, this was just a sensational
madness,
game from Auckland, and for Auckland it means they are now 8 points clear at top of the A-League table, as Adelaide lost 3-0 to Western United yesterday. So that is a huge... I just touched my mouth with my mic.
There you go. It's only second episode, guys.
Don't worry.
We will stop touching our mouths with the mic.
Don't worry.
With that being said, 3-0 Adelaide lost.
Lost 3-0 to Western, who, ever since they beat us 4-0, have really improved, and they will be making a push for that top 2 spot with a bunch of the other teams. I believe Melbourne Victory is one of them. I actually know. There's probably Sydney, I want to say.
Yeah.
But
just to go on from there, because how many? We'll call it regular season.
Yes.
How many regular season games are left before the finals quarters?
So I believe Auckland and Adelaide both have 10 left.
Okay, so still a little bit.
There's still, but Auckland play Adelaide this weekend. So if Auckland win by any margin in Auckland, I'll say this, it will be a very hard gap for Adelaide or any other team to overcome.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Knicks, they are now 11th in the A-League, which isn't great.
Oh, man.
But they'll be hoping to improve. They were missing a few key players. Alex Rufer was on the bench. Michael Rojas was off the bench. And like I think we mentioned in the last podcast, their imports have just simply not been performing like they should be.
Yeah.
Their 19-year-old local goalkeeper was starting in that game, which is kind of a baptism of fire.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, great win for Auckland. Not a great result for the Knicks, but for some aspects of New Zealand football, a huge result, as it was heaps of media attention.
Absolutely a win for New Zealand football.
Yeah.
Absolutely a win for New Zealand football. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
And it just cements the likeliness of a lot of those Auckland boys getting named in the all-white squad for the hopefully 2 final World Cup qualifiers next month against Fiji and hopefully one of New Caledonia or Tahiti.
All right.
So,
aren't we also playing Norway as well at some point?
We are playing Norway in October and supposedly playing Poland as well, but that one's not confirmed yet.
I can't believe we actually get to say this, that 2 of the best Premier League's goal scorers at the moment are going to be playing each other, and as a guy from New Zealand.
Exactly.
That's cracked.
And we will briefly mention Chris Wood later on in the episode.
Yes, we will.
But funnily enough about Norway, the last time a Kiwi team played Erling Haaland was at the 2019 U20 World Cup, and we beat Norway 2-0. Erling Haaland was in that squad, and a lot of the guys in that team will be in that all-white squad. The next game
crazy.
Erling Haaland played after that was against... who was it against? It was against Honduras, and he scored 9 goals.
You heard it here first.
So he was so frustrated he couldn't score against New Zealand. He scored 9 in his next game. And it also means he's getting clamped up.
That's what I'm saying. I hope the Premier League is listening right now.
Yes.
Because if you want to learn how to shut down Erling Haaland, although Man City aren't doing that good at the moment, we'll talk about that later.
Of course.
But if you want to learn to shut down Erling Haaland, man, just go and watch New Zealand, mate.
Just go to New Zealand.
That's what we do.
Just rewatch the U20 World Cup.
We put on the clamps. We put on
the clamps on Norway.
and then we lose to Australia. But
Hey,
we,
Australia, I think Australia are pretty good, but that's for another episode.
There's for another episode. Shall we move on from the football? Sir?
Moving on to Super Rugby.
Yay for us.
Yay for Aucklanders.
The complete opposite of the football for all
Auckland.
the Blues fans, including
Yeah.
us. Fantastic.
Now, I'll just quickly say that I've not watched a ton of the rugby this weekend, so Dylan
That's all good.
is our chief analyst. I have
'Cause
watched a little bit.
The chief
He's
analyst.
the chief analyst for the rugby. But yeah,
man.
not a great weekend for the Blues.
No, it was not. But I'm going to talk about the first two games. So Moana did go down by 20 to the Reds. I think it was 56-36. Which, can I just say, these high scores are absurd.
It's taking me back to when I was a 12-year-old watching that one intro I sent you earlier today with all of the different Super Rugby
when South Africa
mascot.
was still there.
Yeah, waking up
what
at
a time.
2:30 in the morning to watch us like either just beat the Cheetahs or lose by 40 to the Stormers. Like,
I love that. I will say, not the losing by 40,
No.
but I love those times, that little throwback intro.
I think it did so well for New Zealand rugby as well.
It
and
did.
it's a shame we don't have that now.
I'm sure at some point in the podcast we will talk about
We absolutely will.
the not necessarily the state of New Zealand rugby, but All Blacks and all that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
With that being said, there were a lot of All Blacks on the Chiefs team at the moment. I'm
Yes.
not going to talk about how they play for the All Blacks. That's another discussion.
Yeah.
But they play great for the Chiefs because the Chiefs took out the Crusaders 49-24.
Yeah.
And not only that, I believe it was 14 all at halftime. And the Chiefs just took over after that. Now, I'm pretty sure I didn't actually get to watch that game, but I'm pretty sure there was a controversial yellow somewhere.
Yeah.
I believe it
A
was
few of those at the
I
moment.
believe it was against a Crusader.
Yeah.
Which, as a proud Aucklander, I will say finally they're getting their get back. But no, yeah, man, the Chiefs are flying right now.
They are,
to start the season.
D-Mac is just playing himself into that 10 role at the moment. I know there's a lot of the season to go, but if Damien keeps playing at that level, you'd be very hard to find a reason not to start him at 10 against France.
I think I can, but we'll talk about that closer to the end of the
Of course.
season, eh?
Yeah. And back to the Moana Pacific game, because this is hopefully the first of many instances where I get to tell the audience, I told you so. Kyron Tomofalau,
KT.
or KT, I mentioned him in the last podcast that he was one to watch. 21-year-old Tongan winger, born and raised in New Zealand, but a Tongan international.
Yeah.
Scored twice against the Reds, and the tries he scored were pretty freakish for a player of his age.
Yeah.
He scored twice the week before as well, so he's up to 4 tries in 2 games.
That dude looks good.
He is also NZ eligible, but he last played for Tonga at the World Cup in 2023. He managed to get some minutes against Romania, where he also scored. So if New Zealand Rugby did want to cap him, they would have to wait till next year, and also they'd have to convince Kyron to not take on any Tongan international selections, which I feel like will be a bit hard to do. I don't know why he wasn't selected last year, whether they didn't think he was in form or it was, logistical issues we see with the Pacific Island teams all the time. But I personally would love to see him continue to play for Tonga.
So would I.
Yeah, but if
would
he becomes a top try scorer constantly in Super Rugby, then
Then you can switch. No.
No, it's all about parity, and I haven't agreed with the All Blacks bringing it. Especially, it always seems to be Fijian guys and playing them for one game and then never playing them again, like with Pitagus and.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is going to become a discussion of when we talk about the Blues game as well, because I'm gonna mention that. But yeah, KT looks like a dude, man. He looks like he could be a dude.
He looks awesome.
And like you said, I do really hope he continues to play for Tonga, because I'd love to see Samoa, Tonga get up to a level of a Fiji, just so the Northern Hemisphere teams can get out.
Yeah.
Get out. Yeah, but no, he has looked really good, man. I can't lie. He has looked really good. Then we move on to the Saturday games, which 2 of the 3 of them I actually did watch.
Yeah.
The first one was the Hurricanes and the Drua, and I'm going to say this, watching the Drua team play, if they ever find a way to do 2 things. One, play with structure, and then play with structure at the right time. That team is going to be one that's going to be hard for a lot of teams to deal with, and I think they'll get out of that last playoff spot sort of thing going on.
Yeah.
With, like how they've been, I guess, to start their Super Rugby journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they ever find a way to slightly play with structure at the right times, they are going to be a great team.
I mean, a team full of Fijians is always going to be dangerous,
This is
especially
fair.
if they're playing an entire season together.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys are also playing for the Fijian national team.
They absolutely have talent.
Like, Fiji has obviously had a problem for a long time of getting their best players, who always seemingly are always based in France, getting released from their clubs. The French clubs are notorious for not doing that, and so the Fijian national team itself has suffered in quality. They haven't been able to send their best teams. But with the Drua players, they're able to call up all of them, and even if they're not at the same level as their French-based counterparts, because they play so often together and know each other so well, it means the Fijian team still plays to a high level.
It's going to be dangerous, man.
It's going to be very dangerous, and I cannot wait to see how Fiji line up at the next World Cup, because they've got a couple of guys who I think were born and raised in NZ but have Fijian heritage and have committed to playing for not just the Drua but also for Fiji. And I think it's going to be really dangerous, because Fiji are already a dangerous team in the World Cup, especially if you're a Six Nations
team. To be
team.
fair, they almost got... Who did they play in their quarter? Did they play Wales? Or England? They played England, and they almost won it.
Yeah, I would say it would not be surprising if one of the island teams makes a World Cup semi-final in the next 2 or 3 World Cups.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that either.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
It would be awesome. We still need Tonga to make a quarterfinal. They haven't done that yet, but I think there's around the 16 at the next World Cup, so we could see them make a knockout phase for the first time.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go.
But yeah, so the Hurricanes, because I don't want to upset any Hurricanes fans, but they really scraped the barrel on that one.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about in the last episode, a sort of transition phase for the Hurricanes. I wasn't as sure, because I thought they still had some quality players there.
Oh, they do.
But at the same time, Omua's pretty sure injured at the moment. And like... There was a lot of undiscipline there, but almost the Drua undisciplined, the Hurricanes undisciplined, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, the Drua threw that game away for themselves, and the Hurricanes took advantage of it at the right times. But I see what you mean now by the transition phase with the Hurricanes, but they've still got some quality there. I mean, if Karifi could learn to almost balance out that... I'm going to call it dog mentality. Yeah. Because he does. He plays like that. And when he plays like that, he's awesome. If he can learn to balance that out, that dude is going to be an All Black.
Yeah. The Hurricanes still have a very good loose forward group, even after losing Artie, because they have Peter Lakai, and
who's coming off the bench.
And they have Iose, who's starting ahead of him. Like,
crazy.
It's still a very good loose forward pack, and that's probably going to help the Canes out this season. Yeah. Even if they're not at the same level as the other New Zealand teams, although they're probably playing better than a certain Auckland-based outfit.
Yeah, unfortunately. So let's get into it. I did watch the Blues Highlanders game. The Blues lost to the Highlanders, and I saw a lot of Highlanders fans on TikTok saying that the Highlanders are now our daddy.
I mean, it took you 5 years to beat us. So
to be fair, they're used to losing. Let's give them up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do have to give them this game because Jamie Joseph, excellent coach.
Yeah.
And he knew what that game was going to be like. Mm-hmm. And really, the Highlanders almost played us into their advantage in a sense. So, yeah. And this is, I was saying this to my dad as well as we're playing it. And I love him to death. He's a great player. But I have to call out Beauden Barrett for something. And I'm going to say that Beauden Barrett, I love him as a player and he's awesome, but as he's gotten older, I feel like he's almost learned to fall in love with kicking too much.
I have noticed that recently, and it's a bit annoying. But I reckon it's probably, when I see he's kicking, I'm like, why are you kicking? I'm like, well,
exactly.
There's probably a reason for that.
Absolutely. Like, we're not going to sit here and be like, oh, we know everything. We know all the plans, stuff like that. I only
watched the last 15 minutes. I don't know jack.
Yeah. The reason I say that is because there's a lot of kicks of his that works.
Yes.
And he is a very skilled player, but at the same time, when in that game when it seemed like his kicking wasn't working, they came back and scored.
Yeah.
Finn Hurley, the fullback for the Hurricanes, the Highlanders, played a fantastic game off of our own kicking game because it was that bad and it allowed him opportunities. And at the same time, who a lot of people will talk about in that game, and he played excellent, and at number 12 was Tavatava Nawai.
Yeah.
Or as they all of a sudden started to call him the difference.
The difference.
And that's literally what he was. He pretty much played like a forward and a back put together. At the same time, all of a sudden he has one good game against a good team. Oh, let's put that guy in the All Blacks, stuff like that.
He has had some decent moments the last couple of seasons I know of. He was at Moana first, I believe. Or was it the Drua? No. One of those. He was at one of those teams.
I'm pretty sure it was Moana.
Yeah, which is surprising because he's Fijian.
Yes,
and you don't see many Fijians in Moana.
True.
Yes, and then he moved to the Highlanders, and I think he has been a bright spark for them the past few seasons. And I think a lot of people have been trying to convince people, hey, this guy's like genuinely one of the best players in Super Rugby, and he's kind of shown that he has that potential in a game like that against the Blues.
And what I will say is that if the Highlanders make a really good run this year, because that team, like, it's still a really young team.
Yeah.
I mean, there were young former Blues players playing there. Caleb Tangito shrugging AJ Lamb off like he was friggin' I don't
Myself.
even know. Yeah, there you go. At the same time, Taniela Talea doing his job at number 13. I think did Ratamatavuki Neepkins, did he play? Oh, let's go. I'm pretty sure I got that name right.
You got that right. I mean, you're the one who watched the game, so
yeah, this is fair. So he didn't. Thanks, Simon. I'm pretty sure he's injured at the moment because he didn't play, but I would have expected him to play. With that being said, Finn Hurley played a fantastic game anyway.
Yeah.
Tavatava Nawai is going to be interesting because, if the Highlanders make a big run, that's a dude that people will be like, All Blacks, he should play All Blacks. He'll be our answer at 12. I think he should play for Fiji. Yeah,
well, he hasn't played for Fiji yet,
which is madness.
Which is madness considering I think he's, probably played very well at the Super Rugby level.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the past couple of seasons. But, we might not know what's going behind the scenes. Maybe Fiji don't rate him. Maybe he doesn't want to play for Fiji.
That's true.
We have to consider these things. He won't be the only Fijian in the All Blacks team because, well, I suspect Sevu Reece will probably be selected still.
Yeah.
But we'll see, obviously, come June, July, who makes the France squad. The squad for the France games, I should say.
Yeah.
But I think, centre has been a interesting position for New Zealand for a while.
It has been.
And we've currently got Geordie Barrett as the, incumbent inside centre, which isn't the worst situation to be in the world.
Absolutely not.
He's obviously played well enough to play at Leinster for a little bit.
He has.
So, it's interesting. It's because I don't want us to waste another player.
No, neither do I. And that's why I said that I think Tavatava Nawai should play for Fiji.
Yeah.
Because I know he won't be wasted. And I would hope he would start somewhere, whether it's the wing or the centres. But I think seeing a game like that, seeing it against the Blues, which is Auckland, biggest city in New Zealand, stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people will be like, that's our answer at 12. That's our answer at 13.
We've got to wait for the whole season.
We've got to wait for the whole season because you never know what's going to happen.
And you never know who's going to pop up and say, hey, maybe I should be playing 12 for the All Blacks too.
Exactly. With that being said, the Blues are still 0-2.
The Blues are still 0-2.
And because it's Overreaction Monday, Blues suck. We're losing every single game after this.
No, we're
and
not.
It's going to be crap. And I'm sad and I'm going to cry myself to sleep.
We can't mouth off the Blues too much.
No, we can't.
We don't want to upset our local team.
No, we don't. Up the Blues.
Up the Blues.
But
they won.
But the last game of Saturday as well, the Force pulling out the upset against the Brumbies. That Force team, is now what? Is it 2-0? Yes, 2-0.
Yeah, because they beat
Moana and they beat the Brumbies. Hey, who knows? Maybe they make a run.
Love to see the Western Force in playoffs because they're a team who obviously got unjustly let go out of Super Rugby before COVID.
They did.
And everyone was like, can you take the Rebels instead? But then when they did take the Rebels, everyone was like, oh, can you just not? Like,
love a comeback story, man. Love an underdog story.
I love it. But moving on, next week, myself and you may be attending a couple of the game. Well, I might be attending a couple.
I'm at least attending one of them.
So Friday night, on the shore,
Let's
Moana
go.
Pacifica are playing
My
Highlanders, so we actually get to see Tavatavanawa in the flesh.
And we also get to see KT in the flesh.
And we get to see Adi Savia in the flesh.
Yeah, and with... Yeah.
We get to see a lot of high quality rugby players. We haven't got our tickets yet, but we looked a few days ago and there wasn't a lot sold. So we're probably going to get prime seats, middle of the pitch, decent distance up, going to watch the game, going to be able to retell everything to you guys in perfect analysis.
And hopefully the food's good.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect, but
neither do I.
I was probably just going to get dinner beforehand. But
yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. That game, I don't know whether it will be a toss-up. I don't know if either team will dominate, but I'm just really intrigued to see this matchup.
I am very intrigued as well.
And then moving on, the Waratahs host the Drua. I think the Drua, although I was pretty high on the Waratahs last week, I think.
Yeah.
Seeing how the Drua only lost by 4 in New Zealand to the Canes. It was in Napier, not Wellington, but still a home Canes game. They might surprise the Waratahs, and they've just come off a bye week though, so we have to see what the pros and cons of that week will be for the Waratahs.
Yeah.
Moving on, Chiefs versus Brumbies. I think the Chiefs probably win this, although I wouldn't be surprised if the Brumbies show that they're still a decent outfit.
Yeah, true.
And then a game I should be attending in Wellington, without Dylan, unfortunately. The Hurricanes taking on the Blues.
The Blues need that one.
We need that win, but the Canes will probably feel pretty confident that they can win because the Blues have not been on the best run possible. The Canes themselves, though, have only won a single game so far by 4 points against the Drua, a team historically not great away from home.
Yeah.
So we will see where the Blues match up against a Canes team. I was always in the always had the opinion that the Highlanders were a better team than the Hurricanes. So I think we should win this, and I hope we win this because I'll be very disappointed if my first ever match in the Cake Tin, where I'm deliberately going to watch an Auckland team, loses.
Yeah, that's going to be... Yeah, the Blues really need that win there. Yeah. Well, the Blues, even though it's the start of the season, and if we lose, it's not necessarily the end of the world. We need the confidence booster. We need that one.
Because if we don't get that win, we might drop off even more, and you have to make the top 6 this year, not the top 8.
Exactly.
So we don't want to, miss the playoffs because we have the squad to not just make the playoffs, but win the whole thing again.
Absolutely.
And I don't want I don't want the Blues to choke again, because we've done it so much.
Yeah, I'm sick of hearing them.
Yeah. not the current Blues team choking, but in the past 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving on, the last game in the upcoming week is the Force hosting the Reds. The Force could win this, judging from the fact they beat the Brumbies.
True.
They've got home advantage. The Reds, they beat Moana, but they had 3 yellow cards in that game. So their discipline isn't great. It also shows that they still won by 20 with 3 yellow cards, but still discipline, as we've seen with the Blues, can be a massive decider for a game.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be
a huge factor, yeah.
But moving on from Super Rugby, and this one will be probably very quick, but the NRL kicks off this weekend in Las Vegas for the second year in a row, and our wonderful One New Zealand Warriors, not sponsored, kick off the NRL season, technically the away team to the Canberra Raiders.
But they're all the way in Vegas.
All the way in Vegas. So a brief kind of preview for the Warriors this season. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak is out for at least or up to 12 weeks with a fractured / dislocated wrist. It's not great, but seeing how Tane Topuki has played in preseason,
he has played great in preseason. A
lot of people are really excited to finally see him get a proper run in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
The Warriors, in my opinion, we should, if we don't have any other more major injuries, I think we can make the 8. I think we have a squad which has the potential, and the betting odds are reflecting that at the moment.
Yeah.
The Warriors have between the 7th and 9th highest chance of winning the whole thing or making playoffs. And I know a lot of people online are quite excited to see what some of the Warriors players can do. And we come up against one of the worst teams on paper in the NRL to start the year against the Raiders. I'm not necessarily in the know as to why the Raiders aren't rated so highly.
Yeah.
But every betting odds I check, they're below teams like the Rabbitohs and the Tigers, who are not going to be good.
Hopefully
it does.
Because, of course, you don't play a game on paper.
No, exactly.
Hopefully,
that's why I said
the Warriors bring out that one.
Yeah, and I think there will be plenty of Warriors fans in Vegas to support them. Speaking of the Vegas round, it was, I think I told you, it was mentioned on the last WWE Raw broadcast when Dakota Kai was walking out, who is a Kiwi, although they showed, I forgot what, if there was a former NRL player in the stands, not one I would have associated. I forgot, but it wasn't a guy you would have thought would be the person they would be displaying.
So
everywhere.
It wasn't Jordan Mailata?
No, it was an NRL player.
Fair.
But
a proper NRL player.
Yeah, I think a retired one. But it was good to see some love on Netflix as well from
absolutely,
the WWE.
The more important question though about the NRL, because it hasn't even started, who's winning?
Well, if you ask most people,
like I said, overreaction Monday.
It's between, once again, Penrith Panthers and Melbourne. Like they're just the two teams the most quality. Even if Penrith lost Jerome Luai to Tigers and James Fisher-Harris to the Warriors, they've still got Nathan Cleary. They've still got Brian To'o. They've just signed Blaze Talagi. Still got Isaac Yeo and Liam Martin. It's just a team where you look at, and they've got a guy I went to intermediate with in Isaiah Papali'i. You just look at that team and you go, well, how do they not win a game? They've still got Ivan in charge, and then the Storm still have everyone as well. They've re-signed Puppy Keys and Ryan Pap, and they've still got Cameron Munster. They've still got all of their backs and all of their forwards. They've got Katoa, who used to play for the Warriors and then joined the Storm and became such a better player. It's between those two teams. I know the Sharks look good. I know Manly look good. I know the Broncos look good. And hey, maybe the Warriors can sneak in there. Who knows?
Come on.
But speaking of two of those teams I just mentioned, the Panthers and the Sharks play each other in the other NRL Vegas game. That one, the Panthers should probably still win, but the Sharks obviously have... why am I blanking on his name? But Dally M medal winner playing in the halves, Nico Hines. And they've also signed a guy from us in the form of Adam Whanua-Blake, who is an absolute beast on his day. Even if he's only on the pitch for 40 minutes, you don't want to face him. No, that's not like a jab.
No.
It's a genuine thing for some of the props in the league because of how the game's played and the body type as well. Like you can't be lugging that around for 80 minutes unless you've got like 600 lungs.
That's true. So all I'm hearing from you right now is that Penrith should win that game, and all the Sharks are hoping for is that Vegas gets to the Panthers.
Exactly. Exactly.
And my uncle, if he's listening to this, he's a Sharks fan, is going to be so mad that I probably just said that. But hey, I don't care.
You don't care. And moving on to best of the rest, we've had to categorize a lot of other domestic stuff into this section where we're going to quickly go over. First of all, the Rugby Sevens. Congratulations to Michelle Brake, formerly Michelle Blyde, Olympian.
Is it not Michaela?
It might be Michaela, actually.
We're going to go with Michaela because I've only heard it Michaela.
It's written out as I don't know. I apologize.
Michaela
we know
no
who
breaks.
It is.
Michaela no breaks Blyde.
One of the greatest sevens players we've ever had in the world, and she's just became the top try scorer in the World Seven Series, now just known as Sevens.
There you go, man.
In the Vancouver Sevens, which finished today, and good news for New Zealand women.
Yeah, the New Zealand women get the W in the final, 41-7.
They were playing Fiji.
Against Fiji.
Is that the first time Fiji have made a final?
I'm not sure. It may be. I don't think so in terms of women's. I feel like they have before. With that being said, it was still a thumping to the Kiwi girls anyway.
Huge one.
And the New Zealand men's stay in their transition phase, losing to Spain in the quarters. And then, I don't know if we ended up winning the... Did we end up going to 5th and 6th or 7th and 8th?
We went for 5th and 6th and we lost to Great Britain.
That's right. Didn't we get hammered as well?
We got hammered as well.
Yeah.
So they remain in 7th on the overall sevens table. Spain is 2nd to Argentina.
That's crazy.
You can see what nations are prioritizing sevens now, because unfortunately a lot of the top nations which usually were competing at the top, like us, South Africa, Fiji, they're not investing as much. And you see Argentina and Spain, which have been able to correctly include it in their rugby pathways, are just having fun with it. And I love that Spain are doing so well.
Same here, man. And even in saying that, it's actually, you know, with the other teams maybe prioritizing 15s over 7s, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either, because it shows that those teams are coming up in the 15s, whether it's somebody like Fiji, who are still pretty good in men's, even New Zealand men's to a certain extent, stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it is awesome to see Argentina up there, Spain up there. That is pretty cool. And quickly before we move on from the sevens, I just want to send a quick shout out. I have a friend that plays for the Great Britain Sevens women's team. She actually happens to be the captain. Shout out to Isla. They were in the 5th-6th playoff. They lost, unfortunately, so they came 6th. But I know that Isla, of course, the captain, but I know her family may be watching and listening to this as well. So shout out to the Normans.
Shout out for sticking around.
And shout out to Isla for getting that 6th place there, being the captain of the
this world
GB
is so
team.
Small.
This world is small, bro.
What do you mean some random guy from the shore knows the captain of the Great Britain Women's Sevens team? It brings me to a point. One of my good friends went to the All Blacks Ireland game at Eden Park a couple of years ago with her boyfriend and his family, and she messaged me. She was like, "Oh, one of my family friends is playing in this game." I was like, "Oh, what All Black
Who's
is it?"
that?
And she's like, "No, it's the Irish scrum half. Gibson Park."
Oh, Gibson Park.
I'm like, this is so funny. Like,
there
you're
you go.
born and raised in this country, and you're telling me your family friend, obviously from New Zealand, is playing for Ireland.
Small world.
It's such a
Like
small
you
world.
said.
It's such
Like
a small
you
world.
said. Moving on with the best of the rest, though, Black Caps get a big win against Pakistan.
60
and it's called the
runs.
Champions Trophy.
The ICC Champions Trophy. It was last held when we were in high school, so that was a very long time ago.
That is quite,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we
making
play
us sound
Bangladesh
old.
tonight. We'll be hoping to get another win.
True that.
This is the only tournament apart from the World Test Championship that which we've actually won in the past. We won it in 2000. So
Yeah.
I think we'd love to win, just even if this is kind of a useless tournament. My friend who watches cricket, he described it as that.
A useless tournament.
It's just the 8 best teams in the last Cricket World Cup playing a ODI tournament in Pakistan or in the UAE if you're playing India. But a great one for the Black Caps.
Was a great one.
They will be hoping to get another one against Bangladesh, and hopefully it's a successful tournament.
Yeah. Tall Blacks as well, going to basketball, my wheelhouse now. The Tall Blacks get revenge on the Philippines.
Yes. I didn't realise we'd lost to them.
Yeah, we did lose to the Philippines, but no, we definitely got revenge for this one. Torrey Smith-Milner, big 25-point game.
Huge.
But we got the win against Hong Kong and the Philippines, which I believe, and don't quote me on this, takes us to the top of our Asia Cup qualifier group.
It means we get a very favourable draw at the actual tournament, which is always good, even though there's probably only maybe 1 or 2 teams we'd want to be wary of in that tournament. The first top of the list being Australia, and then there's always a couple of teams where you have to keep a side eye on.
Those there are some Middle Eastern teams, man. I'll say this now. There's some Middle Eastern teams, Jordan, Lebanon, off the top of my head. They come with some good teams, man.
Don't
events.
Iran sometimes surprise?
Iran do as well. Yep.
Yeah.
They've had an NBA player, so. Yeah, man, those teams will be they'll be there.
The wonderful international rules of basketball, because they just don't make sense, because you can just give a player citizenship and they can play for that team. Because you see some like former fringe NBA guys playing for like Jordan or Lebanon or the Philippines, and you're like, hold up.
Yeah, what's going on here, man?
Hold up. Pause.
This is true. But with that being said, Tall Blacks get the win.
Yes, and back to more local rugby. Super Rugby Aupiki starts this
Aupiki
weekend. Personally, I want to keep more of an eye on this because I always feel very ashamed when I'm not up to date on the women's side of a sport, where I'm very up to date on the men's side.
This is true.
I know the Blues.
We try and balance it out.
We try to balance it out. The Blues won it all last year.
Let's
and
go.
they beat the Chiefs last year in the final, and they beat the Chiefs in a preseason hit out 66-16, I believe.
It was 66-12.
66-12.
That's
Insane.
Yeah.
And they've only gone this season and signed Portia Woodman-Woodcliffe, which is unfair. It's so unfair.
No wonder why people in New Zealand, when it comes to sport, hate Auckland.
I know.
No wonder why.
I understand.
I don't care. I'm still proud Auckland through and through, you know.
So, yeah, that starts on Saturday. Chiefs Manawa take on Matatu, and then the Hurricanes Poa versus Blues game is the curtain raiser for the Hurricanes Blues game.
Yeah.
Double header, always a good time. And then something we fully neglected to talk about last week, Joseph Parker.
Yes.
Now, when we recorded the last podcast, he was still fighting Daniel Dubois, I believe, but he pulled out because of illness, and I say that in quotation marks, and he faced...
Supposedly illness.
I believe Congolese boxer Martin Bakole. For some reason, everyone immediately hopped on that train and said he was going to knock Parker out. Parker knocked him out in the second round. And it was very brutal.
The disrespect. Disrespect.
But for some reason, Dubois is supposedly going to get the fight against Usyk, the current undefeated champion in the world, first, because politics and boxing.
Yeah,
you ask anyone if it's a corrupt sport, and they say yes. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying other people say it is.
It's always had allegations of that, though.
Yeah,
always.
because it's ran by promoters, and it's just there's no one governing body. It makes it a bit complicated. But
with that being said, Joseph Parker gets the W.
Joseph Parker needs to fight Usyk, honestly. Even if he loses, he's deserved it. He's a bit Zhang, he's a bit Wilder.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last local best of the rest. The Football Ferns drew 1-1 with Costa Rica in Costa Rica. They take them on a game on Wednesday. From what I know, it was a pretty balanced game. We had some positives, we had some negatives, we had a couple of new people on the team. This is obviously a kind of a new era for the Ferns post the World Cup and post the sacking of the former coach, which was clouded with a lot of controversy when she left.
Yeah.
So they'll be hoping to build towards a successful World Cup campaign in 2027.
Let's hope so, man.
Qualifying for that probably won't be too much of an issue, but they still need to keep up the performances when they play better or nations at the same level in friendlies and other tournaments.
Hopefully they just keep continuing to build. I mean, we have a Wellington Phoenix women's team now as well.
And Auckland will have a women's team next season.
There you go. So hopefully just continue to build. Football might be on the up.
Football's definitely on the up.
Here we go.
Moving on to
the international. Going down like... Yeah, I'm not going to get copyright for singing Chris Brown and Pitbull, but there you go.
NBA, Dylan, not a lot to talk about.
No, there isn't. But there is a little bit to talk about.
A smattering of information.
The first thing, because I'm a Warriors guy, I don't care what anybody says, the Warriors...
It was pre-championship wins. He's not a bandwagon. I hate bandwagons, and I can vouch he's not a bandwagon fan when it comes to... the Warriors.
With that being said, the Warriors are now 5-1 with a Jimmy Butler on the team.
Did you think that was going to happen?
No, I didn't. So I thought, because that's the thing, right? When we were losing games, Andrew Wiggins was playing really well, and that was a big thing. We get Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins goes to the Heat. That's pretty much the trade. So I didn't think Jimmy Butler coming in and seeing how he was at the Heat and then also how he was when he ended his time with the Timberwolves, I was like, we're going to have to deal with this again. We're going to have to deal with this now with the Warriors. With that being said, I do think it's a honeymoon phase, and I hate saying that as a Warriors fan. It is. I do think it is a honeymoon phase, but we are 5-1 with Jimmy Butler on the team. We just got the win against the Mavericks. We got the win against Klay Thompson and the Mavericks.
Smashed them.
126-102. I'll take it.
Don't take it any day.
But yeah, so Warriors 5-1 with Jimmy Butler. Do I think we're going to go out there and win the title? Well, let's calm down a little bit.
Let's just calm down a little bit, guys.
As a Dub Nation fan, let's calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is super cool. And also Andre Iguodala got his jersey retired.
Awesome. Fully deserved.
Which was awesome as well.
Because as you know...
Who you choose?
With the death ray pointed at the earth.
Who you got?
I got Iguodala. Oh.
I love it. Also today, Cleveland, the number one team in the East, big win, 129-123 against the Grizzlies, who are second in the West. Within this next week, big matchup being, of course, the Lakers and the Mavericks.
Yes, so I told Dylan ahead of this recording, because he follows the NBA.
Lakers
very
got
well.
the win as well against the Nuggets, by the way.
Yes, big win for them. I told Dylan, hey, on the podcast, can you preview what you think the game of choice, the game of the week, the biggest matchup of the upcoming week is, so we can tell you guys, and also he can tell me, and I can try to make an effort to watch it. So the Lakers
Mavericks,
playing the Mavericks. It is in Los Angeles, unfortunately, not Dallas. If it was the opposite, that would have been awesome. But obviously,
I think it'll still happen eventually anyway.
Yeah, Luka playing his old team only a couple of weeks after. I'm not even going to say what happened.
I mean, Nico Harrison's been getting... He's a GM for the Mavericks. Has been getting shafted for a lot.
They threw out that guy in the... they were doing a big screen thing in Dallas, and it went on the guy, and he was cheering, and then he yells, but it looks like he's mouthing to the camera, fire Nico, and they immediately escort him out of the arena.
That's dictator moves right there.
A lot of people got sent out. Because,
I'm not surprised.
Because Centel put out that they were banning Luka merch from Dallas games. It got to the point where the official Portuguese announcers for the NBA said it live on air.
That's how you know you made a bad move. If you're trying to hide it and putting this much effort, just take the criticism, man. Just take the criticism. But hey, look, he made the trade. You got to live with it. With that being said, the Mavericks do go to LA to play Luka there. That's the big matchup.
And also,
that's going to be huge.
Quickly, Victor Wembanyama out for the rest of the season. Shame for him. But
I do hope he gets better. It's a blood clot in his right shoulder.
Yeah.
This is not just it's his knee or something like that. This is actually something somewhat serious. So, yeah, man, I do hope he gets better soon.
Yeah. But that puts Jaren Jackson Jr. in prime for Defensive Player of the Year.
And that's been that's probably bigger than any game. That's been the headline recently. So Jaren Jackson Jr., who's a quality player, that's not what I'm trying to say.
On a good team
if he
as well.
wins this Defensive Player of the Year, he is eligible for a $345 million max, which would be the biggest contract in history and the biggest one in the NBA.
The changes with the NBA contracting system the last couple of years, I see new contracts get done. It's so hard to digest. Oh, what do you mean? I can only earn this much or that much.
Yeah.
It's very strict now, which I think makes sense, but it's almost like they just drew the rules out of a hat.
That's probably what they did. That's probably what they did.
Here.
And that's the thing. So that's the controversial thing at the moment because people don't think Jaren Jackson Jr., I say fans, people in the comments, don't think he's worth $345 million.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
For a defensive player too.
Yeah. And with that being said, he still has an offensive game. Dude can shoot. I think it can get better. And he's a key cog in that Grizzlies team if they end up trying, competing for a title. But 345 is a lot. That's a lot. So, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Do I personally think he's worth that amount of money? I'll be honest with you, it's really hard for me to say yes because it's not like he's the defensive player averaging 30 to 35 points per game while also being a defensive player of the year, stuff like that. So it's really hard for me to say that, but I don't want that to take away, and this is what us as fans tend to do, take away from the fact that he is an excellent, excellent player.
Yeah, he's he can be very good.
And he's young too. So, yeah, but that's been the biggest things in the NBA. But I think we shall move on to your line of... I was about to say your line of fire, which sounds weird. Your line of expertise, the football. Football,
yes. So Champions League play-off round, I think they call it. That finished on Thursday. And we have... some shocks. Man City are out of the Champions League, and the entire world cheers. Everyone is so happy. Even if Madrid was the people who knocked them out, we still have to deal with Real Madrid. Everyone cheers because Man City are out before the round of 16. How good. Mbappe hat-trick.
Not this season, man.
Yeah. PSG, on the other hand, demolished Brest 10-0 on aggregate, 7-0 in the last game.
Yeah.
Celtic almost took Bayern to extra time, but they scored at the depth the depth. I did it.
At the depth.
At the depth.
Yeah.
To win on 3-2. Dortmund dealt with Sporting Club de Portugal, and it was a bad round to be an Italian team because all of them got knocked out by Dutch or Belgian sides. Feyenoord knocked out AC Milan. Benfica, unrelated, knocked out Monaco. Club Brugge knocked out Atalanta, and PSG knocked out Juventus.
Oosh.
So not great for the coefficient for Italy to lose all those games.
No.
Round of 16 does start next week, Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday, next week, Wednesday. The key matchups, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid in the round of 16.
That's
huge derby. Then you've also got Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen, the
Come
two
on,
best
the
teams
work
in
south,
Germany.
baby.
The two best teams in Germany
That's
going
my
at
German
it.
team right there.
Bandwagon. And
Definitely not, and you know it. Definitely not, and you know it.
And
I've been a fan of them since FIFA 16. You can't get me with that.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Wow. Look
There
at
you go.
you.
Don't do me like that.
Look at you.
Yeah. Bandwagon. Don't do me like that. No. Move on with the thing.
PSG versus Liverpool, probably the other main.
That's going to be quite. That's
key
going to be quite
matchup.
big.
And then moving to the Premier League, Liverpool definitely had a decent 2-game week to take their advantage in the Premier League title race. They're now 11 points clear of Arsenal after drawing 2-2 with Villa
They are clear
and 2-0 against Man City. How good Man City didn't get the win again. I'm very happy.
And the world cheers.
Yeah, and the world cheers. Well, Arsenal, the team second in the Prem, they lost 1-0 to West Ham, which is almost sealing the deal for Liverpool at this rate, even though there is quite a few games to go.
Yeah.
Chris Wood and Forest didn't win. They lost to Newcastle. Wood obviously didn't score, but because City lost, they're still third. Everyone is obviously wanting Chris and his team to do exceptionally well.
Of course, man.
We want them to finish in the Champions League. We need Chris Wood in the Champions League.
And even
next
though
season.
I'm a Leicester fan, and to be fair, it's looking like we're going to get relegated, and Nottingham Forest is probably our biggest rivals.
Yeah.
Love seeing them up in third.
Yeah, I think as a Kiwi, no matter what your allegiances are, you have to be pretty happy with with that for not just Forest, but for New Zealand football.
Amen.
Speaking of the relegation race, you could possibly say it's almost coming to an end already. Wolves on the weekend.
Don't say that to me.
Sorry, mate. They beat Bournemouth. They're now 5 points clear of 18th place Ipswich. If they keep on winning and Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton keep on losing, then the relegation battle is already set. Unfortunately, this early in the season.
Great.
Man United drew away at Everton, Spurs thumped Ipswich 4-1, and then Chelsea lost 2-1 away to Aston Villa. I believe Marcus Rashford assisted both goals for Villa.
He did, and I believe Marco Asensio scored both.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bro, what universe are we living in when Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio are playing on the same team and it's not United or PSG or Real Madrid? It's Aston Villa.
Yeah. Time flies, man.
What? This is like, FIFA career mode's so unrealistic. Why is Marcus Rashford joined Aston Villa?
Literally.
Little did you know.
FIFA manager mode in real life, mate.
Oh,
but there you go.
God.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So Asensio scored both, and I'm pretty sure Marcus Rashford assisted both. There
That's
you go.
crazy. And then the Prem actually resumes on Wednesday as a midweek round because the FA Cup is on the weekend.
Yes, sir.
Key matchups, Spurs versus Man City and Forest versus Arsenal on Thursday. If Forest get the win over Arsenal, I think that means that they're probably finishing top 4. I don't know if I'll put any pressure on Arsenal and Liverpool outside of that, but if they beat Arsenal, it's a huge win.
Yeah.
And then Liverpool play Newcastle on Friday. Newcastle were trying to break into the higher European places. If Liverpool win, it's like, hey,
I'm pretty sure they're winning the title.
Yeah, I think they have to. And then the FA Cup is also on the weekend. Many big teams are already out.
Is it semis?
Fifth round, so that's around the 16, I believe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some teams you probably don't want to win it are still in it. Your Man Cities, your Man Uniteds, but Aston Villa, Newcastle are still in the hunt. Forest and Bournemouth still are too. We could see Chris would lift in the FA Cup at the end of the season. I would absolutely love that. I would be so happy.
Let's go.
And then moving on to more generic European football. And if you actually want to watch a league where the title race looks absolutely insane, keep an eye on La Liga.
Yes, sir.
There is 1 point between first and third. Barcelona are currently ahead. They do have a better goal difference than Real, who are on equal points by 11 goals.
Yep.
But anything can happen. Atletico are just a point behind both teams on 3. And who's only 5 points behind on fourth.
My Spanish team, Bilbao, baby. Let's
Spanish
go.
team.
Athletic Club, give us fourth. Well, we want first, but
Yeah.
you deal with it. No, actually, Bilbao got a huge win in their last game. Yep, it was a La Liga game against Real Valladolid. Yeah, they won 7-1.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's a big one. So they are about to. So they're playing Atletico Madrid. They're playing them in La Liga. So that's going to be a tough one.
It's tough.
But that's an awesome. That's what you love to see as like a sports fan.
I know it's
something that close.
It's the three most over teams in Spain, but like it's still great to see them so close together and putting in such a great race, because it's always good when there's like anything can happen almost. And both teams won in the previous weekend.
Yes.
And then all three teams play a team within the top 8 this coming weekend. Atletico and Barcelona still have to play each other in a few weeks, and then Barcelona still host Real Madrid in May. And obviously the two Madrid teams are playing each other in the Champions League. Added to that, one of those teams will not have to worry about more fixture congestion.
Definitely keeping our eye on that, because that race is going to be good.
I hope Atletico get the dub in the Champions League, because Real have screwed them over way too many times in that competition recently. And the other leagues, very briefly, there is a bit of a title race in Italy. Inter are currently ahead of Napoli. Atalanta's not too far behind. We'll see if Napoli can stay in the race. Obviously, for some reason, well, for a multitude of reasons, Victor Osimhen's playing the year in Turkey, and they've just sold Kvaratskhelia to PSG.
They have?
Yeah. He's gone PSG.
Yeah, there you go. He's PSG,
so
baby.
It's going to be tough for Napoli, even though I know Lukaku's been playing well for them.
Yeah.
And then Bayern and PSG basically have the league sorted in their respective countries.
Unfortunately,
as per usual programming. And moving on to the final best of the rest international sport. And this featured, a game in this tournament featured as our game of the week last week. And we felt like we had to include the final, was the NHL's Four Nations face-off. Canada versus the US. Both teams made the final in the end in Boston. Canada, baby.
Come on.
3-2 overtime win. Connor McDavid scoring the winner. Probably the best ice hockey player on the planet right now. Is going to go down as one of the best of his generation, if not the best. A player you will probably see people mentioning in the same breath as a Sidney Crosby and a Wayne Gretzky. He's just insane
by the
for
end,
Edmonton.
Still got to win a Stanley Cup.
Still, I reckon.
But I'm sure he
can.
will.
Yeah, my limited knowledge of NHL, and I reckon he can.
yeah, same. But with that being said, Canada end up winning the face-off. Come on,
Canada.
Yeah, there you go. No, I was about to say, you carry on.
It's segment time, bro. We're coming to that, to the near the end. Today's segment's different. We're not doing Game of the Week. We are doing Guess the Player. Now,
guess the player. Sorry, I wanted to do an intro.
That's real good.
We'll have one eventually.
Dylan and I have both picked a mystery player, active or inactive, from any sport. Basically, we will tell each other the sport our player plays in, and then we have 10 yes or no, or just 2 answered questions to ask before we have 3 total guesses to guess who the mystery player is.
Yes, sir.
Dylan, do you have your player ready?
I have my player ready. It is in my head.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go first.
I'm actually going to swap you there.
Oh no.
I would like to go first.
You would like to go first?
Because I like my players enough out of there that it may be fairly hard to guess, but I think you'll guess it eventually. Now, one thing I will say before as well, we do have to say the sport.
Yes.
First.
So,
because otherwise that would just be so unfair. But we'll say the sport.
I don't think this play is impossible to guess, but I feel a bit bad, so I'm gonna say that, but I'm also gonna give some more context without spoiling him completely.
Okay.
Just to make it a little bit fair.
Okay.
So my player is a inactive, from what I can find. Inactive.
Yeah.
Rugby union player.
Okay.
He has retired within the last 4 years.
Okay. I won't give you as much.
Yeah.
But I will say that mine is also a rugby union
don't
player.
tell me we've got the same guy.
No, I hope not. But I do think he is still active.
Okay.
I do think so. I can't guarantee that, but I'm pretty sure he is.
Okay.
But there you go.
So the first of your 10 questions, mate. Let's go.
All right. So, a rugby union player. Has this player played for the All Blacks?
He has.
All right. So, it's an All Blacks player. Come on. Has this player, so you said inactive
Inactive within the last 4 years.
within the last 4 years, All Blacks. Have they played internationally before they retired?
Yes.
Okay. That's two. Was that international while they were playing for the All Blacks or after?
After.
After. Okay.
Obviously.
So All Black, inactive now, played international after.
Yeah.
Okay. And in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Are they in the backs?
Yes.
They are in the backs. Okay. Come on. Would you say that this player is up there with the greatest All Blacks of all time?
No.
Okay. So, how many questions is that now?
I'll save it your fifth.
That's my fifth. Okay. That works. Because I only have 5 fingers. Okay. So, All Black, inactive, played international, not known as a great, but nevertheless. Did they play Super Rugby?
Of course they did.
All right. Super Rugby back. Ooh. Okay.
You still have
Okay.
4 questions before.
Yeah. Okay. Are they a winger?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to name in my head, but I am not.
Swear to God.
I'm not sure I'll get it. Okay. Because I know it's you. Did they play for the Blues?
They did play for the Blues.
Oh, nah. How many have I got now?
You've got 3 more.
Okay.
3 more questions.
Were they a player that a lot of people would have thought? Okay, I'm going to explain it this way. Are they a player that was an All Black but was most of the time an outsider?
Yeah.
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 I think you know what I mean by
Yeah.
outsider. I think you'd know what I mean as well. And then I've got one more question, eh?
2 more.
Two more.
2? Was that 2?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Our counting sucks. That's why we're talking.
Yeah. That's why we did comms.
And then, so I've got 2 more.
Yes.
Okay. They're a winger. All Blacks, played overseas, retired the last 4 years. I've got a name in my head, and boy, I hope it's right, but I think it's wrong. I'm trying to think of another question. Winger. Okay. Were they known as a fan favourite?
Ooh.
I think you know what yeah.
I mean, I was a fan of him.
Yes.
So I'll say, from my perspective, yes.
Okay. So it was a crap player then. No.
Still an All Black.
What? Yeah, fair. Hey, there's bees. No, I'm not going to say that. And then I've got last question. Did they play more positions than just the wing?
Ooh. Not that I know of. Possibly played fullback, but that's it.
Okay. I think I've got a name. Because I've got a guess now. Eh?
So you got 3 guesses.
I got 3 guesses. If I get this first one wrong, I'm kind of stuffed. Is the player? Oh, please let this work.
Ooh.
Is the player? Oh, I know what my last question should have been. Is the player Rene Ranger?
It's not Rene Ranger.
Oh, bruv. I thought that was the one.
I didn't realize I was baiting you for Rene Ranger.
Yeah, you were baiting me for Rene Ranger.
They may have played on the Blues at the same time.
Okay, that's cool. But overseas,
I thought he played centre.
Well, that's the thing. Rene Ranger played wing and centre. That's why I said, does he play 2?
Yeah.
But there you go. Oh, no. Now I'm stuck. I may have to give up on this one, but I'm going to throw some wingers out there. In the last 4 years, a Blues winger.
Well, if you do one more guess, I'll give you a hint after the next guess.
Okay, is it? I'm just going to throw no because this wasn't the last 4 years. Oh my God! I'm just going to throw out this name. Was it Joe Rokocoko?
It wasn't Joe Rokocoko.
Okay, good.
So this player Okay. Was the top try scorer in Super Rugby in 2013.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Here we go. In 2013, who was the man? Because that was Julian Savia time.
That was
Julian Savia time, but this guy had more tries.
Had more tries than Julian.
Jeez. I know this name. Oh my God, no way. No way. Was he a winger or was he a fullback? Stuff. I'm going to throw it out there. Is it Charles Pietto?
It's not Charles Pietto.
To be fair, I think of more of him as a fullback, but
This player, his only All Blacks appearance
yeah.
was in 2013 against Japan. And the player in question
Oh no.
was former New Zealand Sevens player as well,
Yeah.
Frank Halai.
Oh my God.
That's what I was
I would have to pull it out of the bag.
Yeah, I was like, I hope I haven't gone too niche with Frank
I'd have to pull it
Halai.
out of the bag. With that being said, I love that it was challenging.
Yeah.
That was cool. I probably wouldn't have thought of that name, but that's a pull.
So that 2013 first year Super Rugby, 10 tries, made the All Blacks India tour to play Japan.
Yeah.
The next year scored twice, and then he was off to Europe.
That's right. He
Last
did.
played for the Austin Gilgronis in 2021.
This is why I think you're just going to pull my name out straight away because,
I hope
as
not.
I'm sure people can tell now, the rugby union is elite knowledge.
It's elite knowledge.
Is elite knowledge.
Bullers.
But mine is still a rugby union player,
Rugby
and
union
because
player.
you have such elite knowledge, I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so is my guy from New Zealand?
Is your guy from New Zealand?
Yes.
No.
Ooh. Shit.
He's already done. Stop lying.
Is he from the Northern Hemisphere?
He is from the Northern Hemisphere.
Oh.
I kind of given away, a bit of it away by saying he, but there you go. Damn.
I think this counts as a question. Did they play for a Six Nations team?
A Six okay, I get what you mean.
Well, are they from a Six Nations
Yes, are they from a
country?
Six Nations nation?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, yes, I'm pretty sure this team was a Six Nations team.
Oh, I hope you know what the Six Nations
No,
are.
I do. Don't worry.
Are they forward or a back?
They are a back. Really wanted to say forward just to try and throw you off, but it is a back.
More importantly, are they active or inactive?
So I am saying that they are active.
Okay.
I'm 95% sure they're active.
Okay.
Actually, what am I talking about? Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. You're pretty okay. Okay. Is he an outside back?
Is he an outside back?
So a winger or fullback?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's 5 questions there. I'm pretty sure. Quick maths.
Okay, we'll say 5 because I had 6.
Yeah. Oh, you had 6? No, we're having 16, mate.
God.
Nice. See, this is what happens being nice, mate. No.
Yeah, I know.
All right, you got 4 to go.
Okay, 4 to go.
I still think you'll get this.
Ooh. Is he the nation
Yes.
he's from?
Yes.
Is one of their main languages English?
Yes.
Okay. Did he play at the 2011 World Cup?
The 2011 World Cup. I actually believe he did.
Okay.
I am not going to put a guarantee on that, but I believe he did.
Okay. Cool.
I'm just here smiling.
Two more questions. I've got a couple names in my mouth, in my mouth, in my head.
Oh, please.
So he's active player.
Calm down. No.
Calm down. I'll just throw it at you so I know. Is he Welsh?
Oh, gosh. Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's a pull, by the way.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
there's England, Wales.
Okay, I know who it is then.
You could argue Scotland. You could. Could you argue Scotland for an English? Yeah, absolutely. You could. What am I talking about?
I don't know what he's on. Final question. Has he played for the British and Irish Lions?
I actually don't know. I'm going to presume yes.
Okay. So my first guess, is it George North?
No.
Oh, okay.
I did love George North, though.
I was
especially when he was coming up.
Shit, a Welsh winger who's not George North.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no.
No, well, here's the thing. Did you say winger?
I said outside back.
There you go.
Okay. Shit, no, what's his name? Is it Lee Halfpenny?
Ah, God damn it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Why did I say what I just said? I was not a winger. Because then you wouldn't have got it. You were just focused on wingers.
No, I
Although
was
Lee
focused on-
Halfpenny did play winger.
A wing, yeah. I would have probably got to him anyway.
So that is why I was hoping you didn't say, did this person play in New Zealand recently? Because he did play one game for the Crusaders last year. And it was a preseason game.
Yeah.
Before he was out for a very long time.
No, who played for the Landers? It was Reece Priestland, right?
I think so, yeah. But Lee Halfpenny played for the Crusaders last year.
Far out.
Last
I'm
season.
surprised I got that.
You did get it.
Shout out to Lee Halfpenny because I was certain it was George
And
North.
shout out to George North too.
Because I was like, I reckon that's George North.
Yeah, but
because
if you had asked the question, have they played in New Zealand, you would have taken George North out of there straight away.
Yeah, because I know he hasn't.
Yeah.
God.
There you go.
Or maybe if I hadn't specified Welsh and I'd said that, I would have gone with James Haskell probably.
Yeah.
Because he played for the Highlanders.
But there you go.
There you go. Well, that
You've
was a
done it.
lot of fun. I love that.
Yeah, I hate losing.
I apologise for giving you Frank alive. Legend though, absolute legend.
Fair. That was a pull.
Yeah.
That was a pull. But there you go. That's the end though.
That's the end of today's podcast. A little bit shorter than last week, but I think
That's all good. We'll make
I
it
think we've
work.
still gone over the hour mark.
Like that's an accomplishment.
Like it's an accomplishment. I'm really happy with everything we've covered today.
Absolutely, man. I hope you listening to this are too as well.
Yeah,
Or listening or watching.
Thank you for sticking around. There might be some extra non-podcast stuff coming out soon, depending on what we decide to do. Does it potentially feature the Moana Pacifica Highlanders game? It might do.
It may do.
But
Who
we'll
knows?
be back here next Monday. I will have been fresh from Wellington. Hopefully
sir.
being able to deliver the good news that the Blues took the dub.
Come on.
And unfortunately means I probably won't be able to watch the Auckland-Adelaide game because I'll be double booked. So Dylan,
I will do my best.
Dylan,
to
I
watch
might
that.
get you to pass that on. So you get football analysis, Dylan, next week, perhaps.
Fantastic.
Which is awesome. And also, we'll be talking about NRL Vegas. We'll be talking
man.
about the other Super Rugby games. We'll talk, probably talk about the Knicks briefly. They play Melbourne City on Friday. We'll also bring up the NBA, talk about that Lakers-Mavericks game,
Yes,
and
sir.
also update on the world of European football because there's just so much European football.
There is a lot going on right now. With that being said, if you want to watch or listen to this podcast, you can either go to Spotify, search up CouchSide Sports Report, or you can go to, YouTube, search up CouchSide Network, and you will find it there as well. And at the same time, go and follow us on Instagram.
Follow us everywhere.
Follow us everywhere.
There's a
But
link tree in the Insta bio.
there
Click
you
it.
go. CouchSide.network. Search up CouchSide.network and you will find us. But that's the end, man. Simon,
Dylan,
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it today.
There we go,
And
my
we'll
man.
see you guys next week, wherever you get your podcasts, aka Spotify and YouTube.
Ka kite anō.
See you later. Oosh.
What a beauty!